Alright, so I'm going to start this off by apologizing because in the last video, my voice was really quiet, so there was like some awkward audio editing with the music and then parts that were just music being significantly louder. It wasn't anything wrong with like the music and the editing process, it was just the fact that allergies are kicking my ass right now. I realize I have a lot of new subscribers right now, so basically if you see Heather Mason at the start of the video like this, it means that I'm getting my ass kicked by allergies, and as such, I'm either going to sound really quiet, really nasally, or just really shitty. But yeah, sorry about that last video. Hopefully y'all are still able to enjoy it for the most part. If it's that big of an issue, please let me know and I'll take that video down and redo it some other time. But anyways, let's get to today's topic. So the Snake Eater remake has been announced, and there is a lot to talk about with it. Specifically, what are they going to keep in? What are they going to take out? What about the voice actors? Are they going to fix the shooting? Should they fix the shooting? Is the camera going to work differently? Is it going to work the same? Is Eva still going to stick her tits out all the time? There's a lot of questions here. However, before we can start talking about the Snake Eater remake, talking about the original, the mechanics, the game itself, we need to address one of the biggest problems in the Metal Gear community. And that is the Kojima dick riding. Now, a lot of people, as soon as this got announced, went full NPC mode and started talking about how, oh, I'm not interested in this game unless Hideo Kojima is involved. You can't make a Metal Gear game without Hideo Kojima. And here, let me tell you something loud and clear right now. It is a good thing that Hideo Kojima is not involved in the project. Now, first, we need to talk a little bit, give a little bit of background, right? The first three Metal Gear Solid games were great. They all have their flaws, but for the most part, those are the ones that are remembered as the series' peak. Snake Eater is probably the best game you could possibly get on the PlayStation 2. In terms of a balance between graphics, story, and gameplay, it is king. There are tons of games nowadays that still don't match up to the level of mechanical depth offered in Snake Eater. However, you'll notice there's a very steep drop-off in quality after Snake Eater. Metal Gear Solid 4, Peace Walker, and 5 are all good games in their own right. However, they don't live up to the same standard of quality. It becomes a lot more common to say, oh, I really like this about the game, but there's a lot wrong with it with this. The best example being Metal Gear Solid 5, where I love a lot about the gameplay. I love a lot about the story, I love a lot about the characters, but then I also hate a lot about the characters. I hate how there are certain voice actors that got shafted, like David Hayter. I hate how so much exposition is in the cassette tapes and they couldn't find a way to just put the story all together. I hate how certain characters just act really out of character. And this is because the first three games, including Snake Eater, were a team effort. Let me say that again. Team effort. Now, there's a YouTuber called Thor High Heels that does an amazing retrospective of the entire Metal Gear series, and he explains much better than I ever could the intricacies involved in the teamwork that went towards making these games and how different people affected these games, not just Kojima. I'm not going to even attempt to go into the level of depth that he did, so if you really want to dig into it, please check out his retrospective. As a Metal Gear fan, it's a joy to watch. Here I'm just going to talk about two scenarios in which integral team members really made the difference in the games they were working on, and how Kojima honestly contributed more bad than good. The first case is in Metal Gear Solid 2 actually, with the guy that did the music. Now you might be thinking, oh, you're talking about Harry Gregson Williams, right? No, I'm talking about this guy. You'll notice that in the game's credits, his name is always kind of pushed to the side. That's because Kojima has a massive Hollywood boner, and will continuously shaft the people that work for him and with him, just to have some of that Hollywood prestige he's so obsessed with. So this guy here that did the iconic saxophone tracks like this didn't really get much of the credit because Hideo Kojima pushed him out of the way to give Harry Gregson Williams a spotlight because, ooh, this is a Hollywood producer. Another case would be with the guy that actually wrote the story for the games. He dropped off the face of the fucking earth, but he was the one that when Kojima would come up with an idea, he would do the research and contextualize it in the game's world, making the games feel much more grounded and believable. After he disappeared is when we started getting, oh, it's all because nanomachines. Oh, it's all because parasites, because Hideo Kojima is a really shitty writer that relies way too much on exposition rather than solid content and character-driven work. But more so than just, with the writing, the team effort and all this, specifically with the issues with Kojima, we need to talk about how things ended with the Metal Gear series and his involvement in it. Now, I've said this many times before, but again, I've gotten a lot of new subscribers recently, so I'm gonna say it again. PT was never going to happen. Hideo Kojima was not the savior of Silent Hill, and Konami didn't just chop Metal Gear Solid 5 in half because they wanted to and push it out unfinished. Hideo Kojima took the budget for Metal Gear Solid 5, did a backdoor deal with Sony, made PT with the budget meant for Metal Gear Solid 5, just so he could use that as kind of like a little job interview to secure his position in Sony. Now, let me say this again. Metal Gear Solid 5, the game that was promised to be the greatest Metal Gear and could have been, was cannibalized to make a teaser for a game that would never even exist. Also that this guy could go somewhere else and inflate his ego even bigger. And we all saw how that worked out with Death Stranding. You want to see what happens when Kojima is really the bigwig in charge and everything comes down to him in terms of design, in terms of gameplay, in terms of everything? Go play Death Stranding. And then play Death Stranding and Snake Eater back to back, and you'll see the difference between a team effort and a Kojima effort. So why am I even saying this? Well, it's because here we are, the start of the hype cycle where everyone gets really fucking toxic and everyone's making a big deal because the development team doesn't have Hideo Kojima. Let me tell you something. The virtuous company here that's supplementing the Konami workers and making this game have all done different little parts in different projects. This is good. You want smaller teams that do supplementary work or do smaller projects. There's no one with a big name. It's just a bunch of guys working together to make a remake, to make a game. There's no ego involved. They're just putting their hearts and their souls into a project. We don't want figureheads. We don't want idols. We don't want someone making a vanity project. We want people that genuinely care about the games and understand the games first and foremost. So it's a good thing that we have a smaller development team. It's a good thing Kojima's not involved, and this is probably the best case scenario for this remake's future. So please keep that in mind. Please don't turn into an NPC and just comment on every post, "Oh, Kojima, without Kojima, it's not really a Metal Gear game. Kojima, Kojima, Kojima." You want to know a figurehead that actually deserves that kind of respect? David Hayter. That guy took a massive cut in his salary to make sure they could get all the original voice actors for the Twin Snakes remake. Kojima couldn't give less of a fuck, but David Hayter cared about Metal Gear. He knew what it meant to people, and it matters to him as well. So if there's someone you should be giving your respect to, if there's someone you should be championing in those comments, it's David Hayter. But yeah, before we even talk about anything else, I just needed to get this out there. Let's stop this whole cult of Kojima, let's focus on the actual game itself, and let's hope it turns out really well. This has been Pliskin Boy. I'm gonna talk more about this remake. We're gonna revisit the original, talk about some of the good, some of the bad. I'm gonna focus a lot more on positive stuff because that's what I like. But yeah, let's just go into this with the mindset of liking Snake Eater, not Kojima. Anyways, this has been Pliskin. Over and out.
This is Solid Snake. Hey, subscribe to Pliskin Boy. God damn it.
You heard him.